On the 5th of July this year, the government surprised the market by introducing another round of property market cooling measures after the market has closed. Now, I was also one of the people who was surprised by it, and I felt that this round of cooling measures is especially more draconian and more drastic. And there are also other things about the way how it was implemented. Firstly, I felt that it was too paternalistic. The government didn't gather any public feedback. There was no public consultation. In other words, the government came across as they know best, and so they implemented these cooling measures. The residential property market is just well into its first year of recovery. It only started to recover in the middle of last year. Now, during this 12 months period, the price index increased by 9.1%. Now, this is quite mild compared to the previous round of cooling of property market recovery that started in 2009. Within that 12 months period from middle of 2009 to middle of 2010, the property price index actually increased by 38.2%, a few times more than the current rate of price increase. And furthermore, the government had already implemented a lot of cooling measures from 2009 to 2013. With all these safeguards in place, it will be able to keep any price increase this time round well in check. Based on the latest official statistics, which was released on the 16th of July, we noticed that the buying demand is already starting to slow down. Developers launched more units than they were able to sell in the month of June. This is actually a reverse of what has been happening from the middle of 2017 to May this year, when the take-up rate of developer sales was more than 100%. In other words, developers were selling more units than what they were releasing. And as a result, the inventory of launched and unsold units in the developers' stock were actually decreasing. But what we saw in June is that the market take-up rate is already starting to slow down. So there's actually no need for the government to interfere in the market so soon. Another feature of the most recent cooling measures is that the government reduced the loan-to-value ratio for first-time home buyers or those who are just buying their first and only private property from 80% to 75%. I felt this was not necessary because, in a way, when a person or family is buying their one and only private property, they are not speculating. They are buying it for their own stay. So there's no need for the government to lower this loan-to-value ratio, because the results is that these buyers will have to come out with more cash, and it will also be more challenging for them to buy their home in the private property market. Another feature of the recent cooling measures is the government implemented a 5% additional buyer stamp duty on developers when they buy development land. And this 5% on top of the 25% ABSD is that this 5% will not be remitted. That means it will not be returned to the developers if they fulfill certain conditions. Now, what the effect of this is that it will increase the cost of land acquisition by 5% for all developers. This 5% ABSD may only give the impression that it would cool the land buying market temporarily. But the end effect is that home buyers will end up paying this additional tax. Now, economically, you cannot lower prices by implementing additional or increasing the tax. So the end result is consumer will end up paying more, and the government will be able to collect more tax revenue.